Welcome into Onorato and Company. Chris Onorato, Ashley Miller with you here on the News Channel 13 Facebook, Twitter, YouTube pages. If you're watching us on TV, you find us Saturday nights on my 4, and with the Firewolves off, we're in our usual 6:30 spot on Saturday. Ash, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm fired up for our guest, a guy that you and I both just, there it is.
I'm dressed for the occasion.
We are inspired every time we speak with Shaun Evans or are surrounded by his family. So we can't wait to talk with Shaun Evans from Galway, who, of course, everybody remembers ran literally across the country 7 years ago now. My goodness, it's hard to believe, but power to push. There's a big event this weekend, and there's a new book out called Better Together. We're going to talk to Shaun about that, but there's big news in college basketball we're going to start with. We're, of course, reacting to the NBA playoffs, and Brooklyn's in trouble. Philly is up big. Cruising. And so the East may be a clearer picture kind of coming our way, and we'll preview what's happening in the West as we go deeper into the week. Ash, let's get things going here on Onorato and Company.
This is Onorato and Company, brought to you by Alpen House.
Back here now on Onorato and Company, ready to get rolling here. Yeah, my mic was muted. Hello. We are in 2022. We've been doing this for 2+ years. Thought I could figure it out by now. Yeah, I know. All right, so we're going to talk to Shaun Evans here in about 10 minutes or so. But Ash, let's get to the real news of the day that I think people beyond the NBA playoffs are going to talk about. I said to our executive producer when he walked in, Josh, how about the Jay Wright news? And he goes, shocked. I said that is the word that I was stunned when we were talking about it at home last night. And it isn't the fact that Jay Wright is no longer going to be the coach at Villanova. It's the word retirement.
Right.
That's because I said to you, okay, wait a minute, retirement or resigning or stepping away or what? Because all those other words other than retirement would lead me to say he's got another job and it's probably the NBA. This is at 60 years old, a guy at the top of his game now, just made a Final Four, retiring. This one floored me. How about for you?
Yeah, it's funny because we were sitting at home and I got a text from my dad that said, whoa, Jay Wright's retiring. And then I looked and I got an alert from ESPN and I was kind of like, what's going on? And same thing. It was kind of like, okay, he's retiring, hanging up the cleats for good, like hanging up the gym shoes. He's done, or he's got something else lined up. So I'm as shocked as you are. He feels like one of the younger guys. Like you've got guys like Boeheim still in the game, a guy like Coach K, who was just retired this year. And he, of course, does it totally the opposite way of a guy like Coach K. And I understand it's a little different, but clearly there was a plan in place because no sooner did he retire than they brought in his old former assistant, Kyle Neptune from Fordham, and said, this is our guy. Here we go. So it looks like they're ready to move on.
Yeah, and it signals to me that there was a plan in place. This didn't just kind of happen. Jay Wright's been thinking about it, and he's been talking to people at Villanova about it, and they've had a plan in place to bring Kyle Neptune back from Fordham after just 1 year, but a 14-win improvement with the Rams Neptune had in his one season. So at 37 years old, he becomes the head coach of one of these Fortune 500 college basketball programs. I'm going to stop short of calling them a blue blood because I know how people will overreact, but they are a top 10 team, top 5 team each and every single year. So he's being given the keys to a very expensive car that Jay Wright has built in Philadelphia, and good for him. But for Wright, 21 years, you see it on your screen, 4 Final Fours, 2 national championships. And you said he feels like one of the younger guys. I don't disagree. He does feel like one of the younger guys, but he is 60 years old. So maybe he's deciding to go into television or to just step away completely from the game for a little bit and see if there's a job opportunity that presents itself in the very near future. The guy is made for TV. One of the biggest disappointments of COVID basketball was the fact that all the coaches went to warm-ups. Look at the dude. He should be a menswear model. Yeah. The guy is the best dressed coach.
Maybe that's his next plan.
Menswear model. Yeah. Could be. Hook him up with our people at Mr. Formal Wear. Yeah, and there you see him celebrating one of the national championships. That's when they beat Michigan. So, to me, and there it is. I pulled this one out of the archive. Me and Jay Wright at a basketball clinic at Shenendehowa High School, the Howard Garfinkel basketball clinic, 5-star camps. It's going to be weird not seeing him, but I do hope he does some TV because he's made for TV, smart guy, charismatic, good on camera, obviously. Anytime he does an interview or a press conference, he's engaging. I think we will see him on TV. He'll be part of the NCAA tournament broadcast with CBS, I have to imagine, right?
I was going to say, even if it's just a matter of him picking and choosing when he wants to be on, maybe. Listen, I said to you, I don't know how much the guy has made in his lifetime, but we looked it up. He made $6 million last year, which means he's got to be over $30 million for his career.
Oh, yeah.
Now you get to go spend the money. You get to go enjoy it after working so hard. And maybe he's the smart one. Maybe he's the one who isn't going to do what Boeheim did and stretch it out. And people are asking, when's this guy going to retire? He's past his prime. He's going to go now. He's going to enjoy it with his family, maybe do some TV and stay involved in basketball. But maybe he's the smart one, and we're all going to look back and say, yep, he did it the right way.
Yeah, maybe the right way. Well, I see what you did there. Sam says he'll either be on TV or coaching the Lakers next year. Look, the Lakers need a coach.
Yeah.
LeBron's got serious influence. Maybe he can get Jay Wright out of a very brief retirement. That would be Jay Wright's retirement would be shorter than Tom Brady's if that's the way this thing ends up going, because the Lakers will need a head coach a little bit sooner rather than later. Nick says, one of the great coaches TV is the move. Don't go to NBA and get fired. Yeah, NBA coaches are hired to get fired unless you are the likes of Greg Popovich in today's game for sure, or Eric Spoelstra.
He's got 2 titles at a place like Villanova. It's not a place like North Carolina where he doesn't have to win there. He could coach for the next 10 years, never win a title again, get to a couple Final Fours, and just still retire when he wants to. They will never fire him at Villanova. He's unfireable.
Unfireable. Yeah. You're probably not wrong, honestly. You're probably not wrong. All right. I do see the comments about the NFL, and I know by the time this hits TV on Saturday, everyone will be talking about the NFL draft, which is a week from today, round 1. And we will talk a little bit of NFL here. And we'll answer your questions too about the NFL draft. If you're Nick or you're Joel, hang on throughout the show. We'll get to those questions for sure. We've got the Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute coming up here. Love Ash's local take that she's going to go with the Fast Minute. I'm going all the way across the country to Hollywood for mine, which probably couldn't have been scripted any better. The reunion between Freddie Freeman and the Atlanta Braves out in LA. And we've got news from the tennis world as well, which was surprising, I think. Yeah. We'll both weigh in on our thoughts on Wimbledon's decision to ban tennis players from Russia and Belarus. That's all still ahead here on Onorato and Company. But when we come back here on the show, our guest this week is Shaun Evans. Show him the book. There it is. Better Together. You can order it now. We'll tell you exactly where to get it. You can pre-order it on a place like Amazon, but we've got the direct link to get the book today. Shaun will take us inside the book, inside the journey across the country 7 years ago, and we'll get an update on his 2 incredible sons and what Seamus is up to these days as well. Hang on, you're watching.
We got a big event this weekend.
And there's a big event this weekend, which we'll tell you about. Yes, absolutely. A 5K that you can take part of and support a great organization. We're back in a minute right here on Onorato and Company.
Happiness is found in simple things. The sun on your face, sharing laughs, at the campground, getting wet, relaxing together, the love of family. There's never been a better time to go outside and play. Alpenhaus Pool Spa Boat and RV. Bringing families together and creating memories since 1964.
Teams. Athletes. Organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through product and purpose. Claim your crown.
And now back to Onorato and Company. Brought to you by Alpenhaus.
Shout out to all of our partners here on Onorato and Company: Alpenhaus, Novice, Marcella's, Popeyes, Pick Six Vodka, and our guest this week in studio, Ash, Shaun Evans from Ainsley's Angels, but the guy does so much in the community. And Shaun, it's good to see you, man. Thanks for coming to the studio.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. It's great to see you guys.
The book is out. It's called
And he's one of our few loyal watchers.
Yeah.
Every week he watches.
So I hear.
Well, thank
I know. We need to give more shout outs to him then, knowing he's watching. And I know there is certainly viewership right now watching this segment. There's Nicole, and we've got plenty of other people through Ainsley's Angels who I know are watching. If you have a question for Shaun, if you want to just throw a comment out, we will share it with him here throughout our segment. But the book is out, Shaun. It's called Better Together. Ashley's got our copy at home. You've got a copy here as well. And if you go to Ainsley'sAngels.org, I'll throw that information up on the screen in a moment. You can order it today. Amazon is a pre-order deal. You have to wait for it. You can get it today in the mail through Ainsley'sAngels.org. How long did the book process take, and why a book? Obviously, it's such an incredible story, which we'll talk about here a little bit. But what is it that made you say, this is a book?
Yeah, I mean, after the run across America, so many people said, you guys got to put this into a story. And I kind of knew all along that we wanted to do that. I was taking notes along the way, and obviously Nicole was making great Facebook posts along the way that became our something for me to pull from as I put pen to paper and pulled it all together. But it was definitely a long process. You know, I told Ashley the other day, it took us 60 days to run across America, and it took 7 years to get to the point where this is in my hands. So definitely a labor of love. But I really am pleased with how it turned out.
Shaun, what was the hardest, most difficult part of writing a book? Because for someone who's never written a book before, I have no idea what it takes. You're doing this in the middle of a pandemic, which you might think you have more time to do. But what was the most difficult part of the whole process?
Yeah, in reality, the book was written prior to the pandemic. Once the pandemic hit, we're deep into the editing process. So I would say the most difficult part for me was patience. The pandemic definitely slowed things down as far as, paper shortages and shipping issues and things like that. And that's kind of why it took until now to get it. I was hoping that we would have it in our hands a couple years ago, but writing it also took a long time because I was working full time all through the process. And, just seeing some of these memories and reading through some of the memories brings back a ton of emotions.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. Does some of this make you feel full? You've detailed with us the number of calories you had to put into your body just to simply keep going.
My favorite moment.
It's such a great moment here at the end of the run with you and your son Seamus, literally going from sea to sea, from the Pacific Ocean out in Washington State now to the Atlantic Ocean here in New York State. You said emotions. What are you feeling as you see this?
Yeah, I mean, 7 years ago on the 4th of July, Seamus took those first few steps out of Puget Sound in Seattle, and then he walked the final few steps on September 1st into the Atlantic down in New York City, and then the Mets welcomed us to Citi Field later that evening. It was just an incredible adventure, and there's probably not a day that goes by that I don't think about it or remember all that we've accomplished. But then I think, since then, all that we've done and all that Seamus has continued to inspire us to do and how much Ainsley's has grown, in part because of what we did with our run across America. It's been tremendous to see all of that as well.
I don't know if people remember. If you don't remember, we tried to be very much a part of this journey and tell it from stop to stop. I felt like I was a part of the family, except I didn't have to do any of the hard work. These guys are running 50 plus miles a day. Shaun is burning through sneakers like it's his job. But Shaun, the thing I remember most from that moment in New York was once you guys stepped into the ocean, Simon just totally lost it. He did not want it to end. He was so upset it was all over. And I just thought, oh my God, I felt the same way too. I just didn't cry about it. But it was, I don't know what you remember from that moment, but that's the one thing that stuck out was just how much like you guys wanted it to continue and Simon wanted it to continue. I'm sure your body wanted it to stop.
You know, it was kind of surreal when it ended. It almost felt like it wasn't over. And Simon's, 7-year-old emotions
Yeah.
were what we were all experiencing at
Yeah.
that time. It was such an epic summer for us all. For it to come to an end, we knew that we'd never be able to replicate it. Even though a couple years later we did run down the Mississippi, there was nothing like that run across America. And experiencing that as a family and sharing it with all of our family across the United States.
How much will people get in that book? If I read that book, how much will I feel like I was part of that journey? I know there's so much more to it than it's about, the birth of Seamus, and I know it's about how you and Nicole have helped him grow and how you've grown because of him. But the run across America itself, will we get details of the trip in this book?
Oh, no doubt about it. And in fact, my parents both just read the book over the past couple of weeks, and they both said that there were things that they didn't know or that we didn't necessarily share on social media that they discovered when they read the book. So that was kind of neat to hear.
Yeah, very cool.
Shaun, you've talked about how Ainsley's has grown since your run. Can you just kind of explain the numbers? I know we talked about this last week at the book signing, but how much it really has grown, where we are in the United States, how people can get involved if they want to, because you guys delivered running chairs, these running chairs that you see in this video here. They were delivered to children across the United States with special needs so that they can participate in races like Shaun and Seamus do. So where are we at with Ainsley's Angels, Shaun?
Yeah, exactly. So, we made stops as we crossed from coast to coast and donated 35 chairs to kids along the way. And out of those chair donations and out of people that were inspired by what we were doing, several Ainsley's Angels ambassadorships grew from that. So now we are in 70 different local locations or cities or towns across the United States and 35 different states. Wow. So it's continuing to grow to this day, which it's that's one of the reasons that we set out to do it.
And Seamus is how old now?
Seamus is 16 now.
So
Oh my
a couple
God.
of years ago, we visited you guys during the pandemic. We were outside on your driveway, and he was in a pretty bad, chair that was like all-terrain vehicle type of stuff. Incredible the way I'm sure that you've seen even just kind of that side evolve in terms of the equipment.
Yeah, I mean, Seamus he takes up a bay of our garage, let's put it that way, with all of his equipment now. And but he uses every single piece of it. He's out in that chair that Chris was describing. It has tracks instead of wheels, so he uses it in the back 40, collecting maple syrup with my father to boil down maple sap to make maple syrup all spring and late winter. So he puts his equipment to use and he uses it hard.
That's awesome.
This was his idea, the run across America. What is next? I know when we talked to you a couple years ago, the time that Chris referenced, we were thinking Boston Marathon. And I think the age is 18. Is that correct? He has to be 18 to do that. Is that still in the plans?
Oh yeah, I'm sure that we'll run Boston when the time comes. He's got to be 18, so we've got another couple of years until then. We still talk about running the Erie Canal Trail to Niagara Falls. I know that's something he would like to do, so we just have to figure out when it makes sense to do that. I'd like to do that before he heads off to college, which is going to be here too soon. We'll continue to run local events. We'll continue to run the Marine Corps Marathon every year. And who knows what else Seamus has in store for us. There's always something. And he's become involved in so many more things. He's involved in a competitive adaptive sailing program now. So, he shoots trap with his school trap shooting club. So there's always something new for Seamus, and he continues to introduce us all to new things and inspires us all along the way.
And we know Simon is a huge athlete too, as well. And they're both big sports fans, which is very cool. So we want to talk about the event that's coming up this weekend, Shaun, but I do have another question here about Ainsley's Angels. And Ash brought up the marathon. Did you know Ainsley's Angels would be repped at this year's Boston Marathon? I know you saw the video or pictures of it at least. So when you talk about 70 different locales, 35 different states, I would imagine the pink is popping up in places where you didn't expect it.
Yeah, we did know that we'd have a team this year, and we've had a team the last few years, which is great. And more smaller events is where we're starting to see them too, which is, that's the the amazing thing, where they might not have seen wheeled athletes in the past. Ainsley's Angels is starting to pop up and introduced wheeled athletes to those smaller races.
One of those smaller races you guys got this weekend. This is one of our favorites to cover. And Shaun, I know you're excited because the pandemic really put a damper on this race and when you guys could run it. It's been a couple years now. 5K this weekend. How can people take part? We know obviously when this airs on Saturday, it's already going to be day of, but you can still register. How can they take part? And it's the 6th annual. How has it kind of evolved here?
Yeah, well, it's been great to see the number of riders that have grown over the years. I think we have a dozen riders signed up, which is great. Between Central New York, the Oneonta area, we have several riders coming out to run with us from there. We have a lot of local riders. And it's just great to be back racing in person again. Simon will be there, and Seamus will be rolling with his buddy Noah. So we always look forward to that. People that want to get involved can register at ainsley'sangels.org. And if you can't make it in person, we still do have the virtual option available, so you can support us from anywhere across the USA.
Yeah, exactly. And again, ainsley'sangels.org. If you click on events, it'll take you to the page where you can sign up for the Together We Shall 5K. You can also, just on that website, as Shaun said, if you can't be there in person, if you're not a runner, you can make a donation through that website as well.
You can buy garb.
Organization. Right.
You can buy T-shirts. You can, there's so much you can do. And such a great organization. We've been so honored to be a very, very small part of the journey. And we just love you guys so much. You guys are a great family and you've done such good work for the Capital Region. And I know we're proud, but the Capital Region as a whole is so proud of everything that you guys have done and continue to do.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I'm going to put it up here on the screen one more time. Yeah. There is Shaun's Instagram handle. It's the same on Twitter, Power2 with the number 2, the numeral, Power2 Push on Instagram and on Twitter. You can find Ainsley's Angels. You can find Power to Push on Facebook as well. Check them out there. And again, ainsley'sangels.org is the easiest way to go get this book now called Better Together. It is available now. The story of, go ahead, Ash, put it up there.
Yeah.
The story of Shaun's run across the country with his family in an RV that Nicole drove.
Yes.
And I did jokingly say to Shaun, hey, we might put together a little NFL training camp tour in an RV. We would need a driver.
Perfect. She could be our driver. Does she still have the license?
You know what? You don't need a special license, but one of the coolest things, I know the Alpenhaus is a big supporter of the show here. And they were instrumental in us getting Peggy, the Ainsley's Angels RV. Even though we bought it on the West Coast, Andy Heck, we met with him beforehand, and he hooked us up with an RV dealer on the West Coast. We talked to them. We bought the RV out there, or Ainsley's Angels did, sight unseen. And knowing that Nicole would be driving that RV 3,200 miles, towing a trailer across the United States, Andy offered to have her go out with some of the local dealers here and do a test drive and take an RV lesson with them. So that was one of the greatest things in the lead up to our run across America, was the support of Alpenhaus.
See? Everything melds together. And Nicole says she's in. Get that up
there. As long as there's no running involved, I'm sure Nicole will be happy to be a part of it.
It'll be a faster trip. And yes, shout out to Alpenhaus. We've gotten to know them through the show, obviously, Andy and Katie. An incredible family, and a story that you shared here that many people otherwise wouldn't know of the things that they are willing to do for people in the community. So thank you to Alpenhaus and everybody involved there for getting Peggy on the road and safely from the West Coast to the East Coast. I can't believe it's been almost 7 years, not exactly 7 years, but almost 7 years. Go get the book now, everybody, called Better Together, ainsley'sangels.org. Shaun, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Making the effort, coming into the studio. We're going to try to do a little bit more of this from now on. I like this in-person stuff a lot better. All right, Shaun, thank you, man.
Thank you.
All right, Ash, when we come back after the break here, Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute still ahead, but we're going to break down what we've seen in the NBA playoffs in the last couple of nights. I am seeing something, and we could keep Shaun here for this too, because I know he has insights to this. I am seeing something happen to Kevin Durant, that I have not seen happen maybe in his career, but certainly not in the last 6 to 7 years, when he became arguably the greatest player on the planet. And Boston is making life awfully difficult on the Brooklyn Nets. We're back in 30 seconds here on Onorato and Company.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, JennAir, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
And now back to Onorato and Company, brought to you by Alpenhaus.
All right, I was wrong on this series. Let's get a little more equity going here. I was wrong on this series that is taking place. First two games in Boston and now shifting to Brooklyn. I thought that the Nets would find a way to win the series, just for starters. I also thought it'd be an absolute scoring fest. And right now the Nets are down 0-2, and they are being limited severely offensively, despite scoring 114 points and 107 points. This is not an offensive juggernaut right now. If Boston coming out of this would look at it and be like, boy, we've given up too many points. But in reality, Ash, they are making life incredibly difficult on Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he hasn't looked like the player that we've seen all season long, the last decade. They're guarding him so well that he's either deferring, which he doesn't do very often, or he's turning the ball over. Correct. He's not scoring a whole heck of a lot of points because they've made him so uncomfortable. They're in his shorts 24/7 while he's on the floor, and you can just tell. And his quote after the game was like, listen, it's on me. I have to figure out a way. But it's not that easy when you've got the number one defense in the league playing really good D on you. They're not used to that. This isn't a defense that they see every game. This Celtics defense has set itself apart from every other team in the league.
Yes, and as I said going to break, I am seeing something with Kevin Durant that I don't remember the last time I saw it. I'm sure he was in an OKC uniform, and it looked something like this. But given his 7-foot frame, okay, his ability to handle the basketball and to shoot from distance, he's been unguardable for the last 6, 7, 8 years. There's been nobody in the league who could stop him. If he wanted to get to a certain spot on the floor, he was going to get there. If he wanted to shoot up over you, he was going to be able to. At 7 feet, Ash, there was no one in this league who could guard him far enough away from the basket that he wasn't then also going to be able to rise up and shoot over. But my goodness, the defense we've seen from Boston, and be it Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Al Horford, and then you get the fans involved with digs at Kyrie Irving. He's not doing his teammates any favor, I don't think, because it seemed to just really rile up maybe even the Celtics players. Maybe they were inspired by this. But look at the defense there of Tatum and Tice, and he's turned the ball over a bunch. He's, again, he's not getting clean shots.
Right.
And that has thrown off his entire game. I mean, he's not playing with confidence, to your point. He's deferring much more than he ordinarily does.
And oh, by the way, I think the name that you left out is Marcus Smart, who is Defensive Player of the Year. So of all the, like, we just talked about all those other guys before the guy who won Defensive Player of the Year. So it's not just Smart playing defense. It's Smart and the rest of the team. They're totally bought in because I think they finally realize defense wins championship. Because we've seen that so often in the NBA playoffs. The mentality switches to a defensive mindset. But this is a team that's played defense all year long. And it shows because there aren't teams just trying to now decide they're going to play defense. This is a team that's done it all year long, done it well all year long, and now is continuing to do it at a very high level and also very successfully against one of the best offenses in the league.
Game 3 is Saturday night, 7:30 tip, I think. So if you're watching us on My 4, we're getting you ready for that game. So I'll ask Ashley right now, is the series over?
No, I'm not ready for the series to be over. Listen, I picked the Nets to win the series. I'm not saying I don't know that they're still going to win it. The Nets have to get a game or two at home. I have to believe. And they haven't, it's not like they've been out of these games. They led for most of that game last night, Wednesday night. They led for most of that game. They were up like double digits in the second quarter, and
17.
they came storming back. So they're not out of it at all. If Kevin Durant can figure out a way to score 10 more points than he scored in previous games, they're in or winning some of those games. So I'm not writing them off yet at all. But Boston, is clearly in the driver's seat in this one.
It was a 17-point lead in the second quarter and 10-point lead at the break. And you heard guys on the TNT halftime broadcast, Charles Barkley most notably, say, Brooklyn's in trouble. This game should be over. They should be up by maybe 20 at the half. Instead, it's 10.
Yep.
And it allowed Boston enough time to come back in the second half. Yes, it's a buzzer beater in game one. And then it was a big comeback by Boston in game two. I'm not ready to say the series is over either.
Right.
But I am with Nick here that
they're in trouble.
They've got to win the next two. They're not going to come back from down 3-0 or down 3-1. They have to find a way to even this series. And I think they will do that. I think they will do that. I think Durant plays better at home. I would say the role players are going to play better because role players play better. But Bruce Brown and Seth Curry were phenomenal Wednesday night.
They were the best players on that team last night. So you need your stars to play better.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. They need the home court, the home crowd, the home cooking to be what helps Durant and Irving really kind of elevate their games. Meanwhile, also in the East, Hawks will play Friday night. They are down 0-2 as they go to Atlanta. Sixers are up 3-0 after Joel Embiid hits a game-winning 3 in overtime. I know you want to touch on that.
That play was nasty. I mean, and I understand MVP voting is over. This guy deserves to win the MVP. He is maybe not the most versatile big man in the game because you've got guys like Jokic but he is one of the most versatile big men in the league. There aren't a lot of 7-footers who are scoring on that play in overtime, taking an inbounds pass, turning around and fading away for 3 and making it look easy. So I think this is the year he gets his MVP, but he's also showing why he deserves it because he's been one of the best players in this playoff so far.
Yeah, I think Embiid's the MVP this year, right? Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, those are the guys that we're going to talk about mostly. If Giannis is considered a big guy in the way you're defining big man, he's the most versatile, right? I mean, he's just more athletic and smoother than the Embiids and Jokic's. But honestly, if I need a 3 to save my life,
me too.
I'm taking Jokic or Embiid, not Giannis.
Me too. And listen, Giannis's 3-point shooting is vastly improved. And he needs that to not to put himself in the same conversation, but to have the same capabilities as other guys his size, because nowadays you have to be able to shoot the 3, whether you're big or small. And that's something that Embiid does really well. And I think that's kind of why, he's versatile in that way. Yes, I take Giannis in terms of more athleticism, but if I need a shot, I'm going to go with Embiid.
Nick wants to know, is Doncic going to play? Yes, I think he'll play.
I mean,
who plays first, Luka or Ben Simmons?
Luka, duh.
Everybody says Ben's going to play game 4.
Okay. Luka might play game 4 for them too, though, which will come before game 4 for Celtics Nets.
Yeah, Dallas needs him because Jalen Brunson isn't going to pop off for 43 or whatever.
Right, every game.
Again, yeah.
You can't depend on that.
No. Milwaukee up 2-1, them losing 1 to Chicago on Wednesday night concern you in any way? The Chris Middleton injury, we'll see.
I was going to say that the loss doesn't concern me. It's surprising because I think I probably felt like it would be a sweep, but the Bulls getting 1 doesn't surprise me, I guess, or at least it doesn't worry me. The Middleton injury, though, like an MCL sprain is not a small injury. So if he's going to be limited or not be able to play the next 2 games, then that's a problem for Milwaukee.
All right, let me move on to this here quickly, Ash, before we have to take another quick break here on the show. And we will get to our Louisiana Fast Minute coming up here. Ashley's got a local flavor, which I love, the tribute that she'll give. And I'm going out to Hollywood for mine. But Wimbledon, meanwhile, says no players from Russia and Belarus. It affects the number 2 men's tennis player in the world and the number 4 women's tennis player in the world. This one caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Novak Djokovic has already been outspoken about this, very critical of it. Basically, right, punishing people from this region simply based on the actions of the Russian president invading Ukraine. These 2 tennis players have nothing to do with the war going on in Ukraine, unless there is some documentation out there that I don't know and I haven't seen yet of them supporting the war, or maybe even saying before it happened, before the invasion happened, that this was a good idea. I haven't seen that. If it's out there, okay, maybe there's a justification. But to me, this feels like Wimbledon thinking it's doing this great humanitarian act by banning people from that region to play in its tournament. And it just feels to me like they're out of touch, not simply like, hey, look at us. We are so great.
And it's almost like you're doing the opposite. Like you are discriminating against 2 individuals because of where they're from. Like that is what Russia is doing to Ukrainian people because of where they're from in part. So I hate it. I absolutely hate it. For once, I'm with Novak Djokovic in this conversation. I haven't been on his side when it comes to a lot of things in the last maybe 4 or 5 months. But he's right. It's ridiculous. You're punishing 2 people in a whole tournament. I understand when someone like the World Cup wants to punish Russia by not allowing them to be in a tournament, or wants to punish Russian hockey for not allowing them to be in the Olympics. I get that, because you are punishing, in a way, at least, the country as a whole. You are not allowing that country to be represented in various tournaments. That I understand. Tennis is an individual sport. Russia, Belarus, they're not sending tennis teams to compete as a team in this tournament. So I don't like it. It's unfair, completely unfair to these 2 players who, like you said, as of right now, it looks like they're just being punished because of where they're from, not because of their beliefs or something that they've done, which is absurd.
Sam's point. Let me get to Sam's point. The crowd could go against those players. Things could get ugly. Maybe. That was not in my mind. That what maybe they start physically throwing things at them or hurling words at them. Okay, but I want to go back to something you said, and I don't know if I disagree or not, Ash, with your point that you're good with the IOC or
I'm
FIFA.
more good with it.
Okay.
Because
here's just my thought. Let's say Daniil Medvedev wins Wimbledon. Mm-hmm. This is now a trophy. Yes, it's his, but he's representing a country that much of the world disagrees with how it is operating. So that trophy will be claimed as a victory for Russia, and it could be claimed as a victory by Russian President Vladimir Putin. It's not the same as a team effort. I hear you, but if he were to win Wimbledon, right, take it to that extreme, does this now look bad for the All England club?
I don't think so. Listen, they've played tournaments since this war has started because we've seen guys. Yep. We saw that Russian player sign the camera, like, no war, please. He signed the camera. Those are moments that inspire. Those are moments that get people behind players like that. And obviously, they would have to be in opposition to the war for that to be the case. If he wrote like "Go Russia" on the camera, well, we probably got more of a problem. But yeah, it's just not the same. And I've never viewed Wimbledon, and I don't know about you, but when somebody wins Wimbledon, I generally don't feel like it's viewed as a victory for a country. It'll be described as like, hey, had Andy Murray won, he'd be the first Brit to win since whatever. And yes, that's the case. And it's different because it's in Britain. Mm-hmm. So I think Andy Murray's always been viewed differently. The home country players have always been viewed differently. But like, if Venus or Serena won Wimbledon, I don't know that it's viewed as a victory for the United States as much as it's a victory for some of the greatest tennis players of all time. I feel like tennis is just different.
Okay. There is national pride that goes into rooting for individual players, though, right? I mean, as Americans, or I'll speak for myself, as an American, I do oftentimes look through a draw and say, okay, is there a path for a Sloane Stevens or a Madison Keys or a Jessica Pegula on the women's side? I'm leaving out the Williams for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And on the men's side, my goodness, can we find a male tennis player in this country
No.
to do something big? You know, John Isner's kind of been the guy that everybody's hanging on to. He's not going to win a Grand Slam. And oftentimes he's seated somewhere in the upper teens. So we haven't had that on the men's side in quite some time.
Yeah.
But I do attach some national pride to even singular tennis players from time to time.
And I feel the same way. Like, I want Americans to do well in various matches. I will root for an American because I am an American. But I don't know that if an American wins, I'm like, oh, yes, the United States. Like, it's not politically or in terms of worldwide power, economics, all that. It doesn't translate for me the same way.
All right, back in less than a minute here on Onorato and Company. When we come back, we'll address the NFL questions you guys have thrown out to us. We'll look ahead to the draft a little bit, the Baker Mayfield situation, what is happening there as he's kind of the last big quarterback name that needs a home at this point in the offseason, and our Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute. All of that coming up next right here on Onorato and Company.
Happiness is found in simple things. The sun on your face, sharing laughs, at the campground, getting wet, relaxing together, the love of family. There's never been a better time to go outside and play. Alpenhaus Pool Spa Boat and RV, bringing families together and creating memories since 1964.
Teams, athletes, organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through products and purpose. Claim your crown.
And now back to Onorato and Company, brought to you by Alpenhaus.
Alpenhaus, Novice, Popeyes, Pick Six Vodka, Marcella's Appliance Center, all great supporters here on the show. Our thanks to them. Big things coming for Nick and Garrett Bernardo at Novice Clothing Company. If you are an organization, or if you are a team, or if you are an individual athlete, they are the place for you, all of your apparel needs. If you
get on board now.
Yeah, if you want to get a jump start on the Kentucky Derby party process and maybe the mint julep isn't your thing, Pick Six Vodka is for you for sure. Another great local company here in the 518. Marcella's Appliance Center, Johnny Marcella, Nick Matalone, the place where, Ash, we've got all our appliances in our home thanks to Marcella's Appliance Center. So a shout out to them. And of course, the great people at Alpenhaus that we've already talked about on this show, courtesy of Shaun Evans' appearance. All right, with that, let's address one comment here right now, and then we'll pop into the Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute. Yes, the Albany Empire season, round 2 of the Redux,
the NAL,
Saturday night at home. Oh, by the way,
it does.
Yeah.
And yes, the question is, who is their quarterback going to be? Grady left the team. Yes, Tommy Grady is out. Their quarterback, I believe, they've signed a quarterback named Mike Faithful, who you may remember is a UCLA guy. He was at one point the backup quarterback to Tommy Grady in the AFL years, some of the first years of the franchise back in Albany before they won that AFL championship. Mike Faithful was the backup quarterback. He will now, I believe, be the starting quarterback. I think he's also a captain this year. So my guess is he will be the starter under center.
Yep, you are right about that. And Carol is all over the Empire. When she isn't watching the Hawks,
we will be all over the Empire on News Channel 13 Saturday too.
The Empire as well. All right, cool. Let's do our thing here with the Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute. Ash, you are up first, and the clock starts now.
All right, here's the deal. I'm giving a shout out to a guy named Zippy Chippy, who unfortunately passed away at the age of 31 this past weekend. They're singing happy birthday to him here. It was one of his past birthdays. This is a guy who I think sports needs. This is a racehorse who was just up at Old Friends at Cabin Creek. They did a phenomenal job taking care of him in his retirement. But this is the perfect sports story. That is Zippy Chippy and his buddy Red down south, I believe. They're BFFs at the Old Friends at Cabin Creek. This is a guy who in 100 starts never won a single race. Came in second 8 times, came in third 12 times. He came close, but he was more known for his antics. There were times when he wouldn't leave the gate. He was suspended from several racetracks because of that, because he wouldn't come out of the gate. And he just, you know what, they'll tell you at Old Friends, he just didn't do anything that he didn't want to do. If Zippy Chippy didn't want to do it, he wasn't going to do it, darn it. And rest in peace, Zippy Chippy. Our thoughts to all of his friends, his caretakers at Old Friends at Cabin Creek, who gave him such a phenomenal life. We love those guys up there, but Zippy Chippy was one of a kind. There will never be another lovable loser like him. And man, was he lovable. And that's what they call him, a lovable loser. Who doesn't love a lovable loser?
That's not so bad. Leading a life, you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Don't do it.
And when you are an animal
a thing or two.
that size and that powerful, there are very few people in this world who could make him do something he didn't want to do.
No doubt.
100 starts, not one win.
That's okay, Zippy. He's winning races now.
I know Old Friends at Cabin Creek put out on Facebook and other social media channels, the most lovable loser.
I love it.
But we've been up
We've
there.
Met him.
We met Zippy Chippy, and
we know a lot of
and I know a
friends
lot of
who work up there.
Yep, I know a lot of people were hurting the day they lost Zippy Chippy. So I love that, Ash. Well done, really well done. All right, I'm on the clock now.
Here we go.
My Popeyes, Louisiana,
guy.
fast minute. Okay, here we go. I'm going out to Hollywood. This is a Hollywood reunion. I didn't know how I was going to feel about when I first saw Freddie Freeman in a Dodgers uniform against the Atlanta Braves. His first at bat, the dude hits a home run. I mean, could we miss him any more than in that moment? Good thing we've got that guy standing behind him, and that's Matt Olson. They effectively were traded for one another in a way. You lose Freeman, you get Matt Olson, and everybody, I think, wins in this scenario. But this is what I loved about it, Ash, is that because I know there was tension from what Ronald Acuna Jr. had to say post Freddie Freeman's time in Atlanta, the way Freeman, I think, felt he was disrespected by the Braves and the contract offer he didn't get. But they were all smiles. There was a reunion between Freeman and Braves GM Alex Anthopoulos. And it proves that even after all the ugliness, with a little bit of time, right, they can move on and still be buddies. So I was happy to see that, everybody was playing nice. Freeman got choked up and was emotional about it. And so was Brian Snitker, the Braves manager. So was Alex Anthopoulos. And the Braves lose 2 or 3. Besides that, Freeman hits 2 home runs. His first 2 of the year come against his old team. I mean, it just was scripted in a way that was perfect for him.
Yeah. Listen, it was the feel-good reunion and healing that everyone needed. I think it puts a Band-Aid on everybody who felt bad. I think that's all kind of water under the bridge now. Everyone's moved on. Everyone's happy where they are. The Braves are happy with Matt Olson. Freddie is happy in LA. I think Charlie is probably the only one who wants to go back to Atlanta. His son, Charlie, the video of him running to Dansby from like across the field and jumping into his arms, it was so precious. So yeah, they've got friends. Freddie called all those guys his best friends. Right. So it was really cool to see a really cool moment. And I know there are a lot of people out there who don't like when teams get along so well, like when other players like each other. I love it. I think it's great for baseball. Baseball is the one sport that I think is just kind of different in that way. So yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
Look, I'm okay with it too, because it's April. In October, I don't need anybody talking to anybody on the field. They do, because baseball's but
they always do.
But in October, you lock in, you can go have dinner in the off season. be worried about winning that series. And look, if these two teams meet again, which would be for a third straight postseason, it will be intense. It will be intense between these two sides for sure. And there'll be some like side smiles and stuff if Freeman doubles and Albies and Swanson are standing right there. But ultimately, they will be focused on which team can get to 4 wins before the other if it's the NLCS.
Yeah, listen, I think the Braves have a little bit of figuring stuff out to do. They'll
get Acuna back. Everybody's like, "Hey, the Braves,"
and they'll get, and hopefully they'll get Soroka back. They'll be fine. But listen, right now the Dodgers look like everyone expected the Dodgers to look. I mean, you've got a guy like Max Muncy who's struggling, and yet they just continue to score runs and hit the ball all over the park. So the Dodgers are who we thought they were, I think, and then we'll see if the Braves can be who they thought they might be.
Yeah. Am I Matt in this scenario?
I don't know.
Matt
I
has
guess
to go to work and Ash gets to work from home. I think that makes me Matt.
I hope I'm nobody else living here.
How what the Mets are doing?
Yeah.
Is this legit? They're doing this, mind you, without Jacob deGrom.
Yep, and I think that's the biggest thing for me is that, like, I don't care if this isn't how they play all year long, but the fact that they're doing it and doing it well without a guy like Jacob deGrom who will single-handedly win them games is what has impressed me most. I think they will do it in the long term. I think that the offense will sustain. They've been really good, and adding a guy like Jacob deGrom will only help. Scherzer's been good, but honestly, guys like McGill have been even better. Bassett they've been great. So it's been the guys that aren't named Scherzer and deGrom that people are talking about, which I think is the biggest positive for the New York Mets.
All right, Joel has been waiting too long. He is somebody who always finds our show, and we appreciate that, Joel. We thank you for watching. Yes, if you celebrated Passover or Easter, I think that's what he's referring to, and not the NFL draft. But who knows? The NFL draft's a holiday for some people, so happy NFL draft if that's what we're talking about. But if it's happy Passover and happy Easter as well. Big NFL week, yes. Will it be a great or a sad week for Jets fans? Jets and Giants both have 2 picks in the top 10. Both teams have significant needs. Feels like the Jets are closer, though. Like, if they can really upgrade the wide receiver position, maybe they can get Deebo Samuel from San Francisco and draft a guy in the top 10 and get an O-lineman. I mean, I think they might be cooking a little bit if Zach Wilson is going to pan out.
I would give up a lot for Deebo Samuel at this point. The question is, if you get a guy like Deebo Samuel, can you utilize him like Kyle Shanahan did? I'm not sure. The New York Jets tend to mess everything up that someone else has done successfully. So if I'm the Jets and I can get Deebo Samuel, I would do it. And I think it will be a good week for the Jets, regardless of if they go after a guy like Deebo or not. They've got draft capital. They have a ton of needs. I think they will do the right thing. But he would be a number 1 overall receiver for the Jets, and he also does so much more.
Yes.
He turned into the Swiss Army knife, the one-of-a-kind player last year.
You say, would you give up one of these first 2 picks the Jets have to get Deebo Samuel? You'd give up a top 10 pick to get him?
No.
Okay.
No, but I'd give them like 2 seconds, a third. I'd give them the whole rest of my... Yeah, I'm not giving up a top 10 pick, although he's probably worth it. Like, if you think about it, I bet there are plenty of teams who would give up a top 10 pick for him.
I think so too. Yeah, I'm with you. He would be a game changer for the New York Jets, given that they're able to perhaps use him the way they should. Nick, of course, is a huge Bengals fan.
Uday.
Oh, so close in the Super Bowl. Only good things and big things to come for that Cincinnati franchise. Certainly, he'll be tuned into the NFL draft to see, how they're going to continue to build around.
Get this McCarthy comment in.
His Bengals. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. O. Excitement over obtaining Deebo as a Jet is palpable. I'm also anticipating the dread of Deebo saying I'm choosing the Patriots.
It could happen. And that Bill Belichick would use that man the right way.
I think so. But no Josh McDaniels there now. I think so. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Oh my God. If he goes to the Jets, we're going to have Ryan on the show.
Good for Jets fans. Can we give the Jets something fun to kind of
let's do it.
root for and watch?
Better
Chef
when
Casey's
they-
watching. Thunder season wrapped up, and
last week.
Yeah. Jeff is a huge part of that organization and the big things that the community of Glens Falls does each and every year around its hockey team, the Adirondack Thunder. We appreciate Jeff always checking in here.
How about you see the Von Miller press conference?
You know what? You texted me about that this morning. I was already in at work and I hadn't had a chance to find it. No.
So it's pretty funny. I saw some headlines the other day about Von Miller, so I went online and just was like, what is everyone reacting to? It's always something, they're reacting to something. So it was a media avail with Von Miller at voluntary OTAs, I assume.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, one of the reporters asked, like, has it kind of hit you that you're in Buffalo? Are you good with it? Whatever. And he's like, honestly, it took me a really long time to be okay with this. He's like, I was on the plane from LA to Buffalo, prepared to tell them, I'm not coming here. I'm going back to LA. Like I wasn't good with it. He's like, even Easter, I woke up and thought, what am I doing? Why am I? And he goes, but he said, and this was good to hear from the top down, from Brandon Beane to Coach McDermott to every player on the roster to all the fans. He's like, I have felt nothing but like love, acceptance. They want me here. He's like, so I'm ready to go win a Super Bowl for the city of Buffalo. Like, I'm all in. So it was cool to hear, but it was fun. He was very honest. And like, he's like, I'm leaving LA for Buffalo. He just kept saying that. But he's got a Super Bowl. Listen, you won a Super Bowl. You've got no need for money. Like, go somewhere where you can. Winning a Super Bowl in Buffalo is a career-changing moment. Winning a Super Bowl at other places, that's great. Winning a Super Bowl in Buffalo, they talk about never paying for a drink or food in your life. You would never pay for anything again in your life in Buffalo.
He'd get all the wings he could possibly want. Yeah, he's a two-time Super Bowl champ. He's a Super Bowl MVP. He had a rebirth with LA where it looked like he just needed a change to get out of Denver, and something with the Rams. Maybe it was the weather. We're going to find out. Yeah. Reinvigorated Von Miller, and now he's getting paid again here with this Buffalo deal. Of course, you can't look at it and say the life of the contract, he's going to get all of that money, but he's going to get every bit that is guaranteed. And I think it's a good move by Buffalo. Is like, hey, we are in. We have been close now back-to-back years. Enough. What do we need to do to try to get over the hump? And if it's somebody who can run down the likes of Burrow and Mahomes, let's go get them. And Von Miller was there for the taking, and they made a very compelling offer that clearly he just couldn't turn away, because he kept looking back in the rear view, if you will, at LA's weather and thinking, I guess I'm going to Buffalo. Yeah, I don't blame him. Don't blame him.
And Nick, if the Bengals don't draft O-line, shame on them.
They will.
I mean, center. They need a center, and they need everybody else under the sun to protect that man. He's like the prized possession, and he gets beat up.
Our thanks to Shaun Evans for popping on the show and actually coming into the studio today as well. The book is out. It's called Better Together. You can order it now. Ainsley'sAngels.org. Yes, you can pre-order on Amazon, but you can get it through the mail. Place the order today, and it goes out. And if you want to do the 5K, here's the information. It's the 6th annual Together We Shall 5K. It's Saturday, April 23rd, 9 a.m. Again, same website, Ainsley'sAngels.org is where you can sign up for that, or you can be part of the virtual run, if you will, or you can make a donation to that great organization as well. All right, Ash, thank you for being on the show. Thank you all for watching.